Hello, my name is Martin Jones, and this video is coming to you from holographicbreathing.com. And in this video I'm going to be talking and showing the makeup and energies of a sacred site at Chequers. Chequers is the countryside mansion and estate that Britain gives to its prime ministers. So I'm going to be showing that. I'm going to be showing the makeup of the sacred site. I'm filming at the side of Chequers. The main entrance is about 40 meters over here, and I'm filming in a little dell in the woods, in a van in a little dell in the woods, so you may hear things around and going off. And there is an ancient pilgrimage route that comes through here, 6,000-year-old pilgrimage route. I'll be showing the ley lines, the energy lines, the energy centers of this whole site, but all of these ley lines and energy centers, they make up the shape of a chalice. And also there's a cup-shaped valley and a U-shaped valley that come together at Chequers that also makes the shape of the chalice. And the internal roads at Chequers, they also make the shape of the chalice exactly the same as in the energy lines. Here they make exactly the same shape and pointing in exactly the same direction. So I'm going to be explaining that, showing that and explaining it and showing the energies of it and how that all works. And then I'll be going on to talk about working with the energies at this site, what it is like when this site starts communicating with the higher energies, the heavenly energies, the universe, and connecting deeply to the rest of the earth and the different energy centers within this site, what they're like as this all goes off, as this site starts to work, as it starts to communicate with the universe, with the earth, with us. So I'll be talking about that and describing experiences I've had of working with the energies here and kind of activations of when it's come to life. So I'll be going on to that. Also be talking about how this site is a reflection of us, and showing that there's also the shape of the Namaste here in the ley lines and in the hills around, and there's the shape of the chalice, and I'll be showing how that is reflected in us and how we can use these hand mudras with the breath as a meditation to experience those energies ourselves. So I'll be talking about and showing the energies of these hand mudras. And then after this video there's a separate video that is a guided meditation, so you can use those hand mudras with the breath, and specifically with holographic breathing, which is taught free of charge from my website. You can do it with normal breathing, but it works much better with holographic breathing. There's a guided meditation afterwards on a separate video. It is good to watch this video from my website because it is all on the same page. It's got this video, it's got the video of the guided meditation. Also, it's got a link to learning holographic breathing free of charge from video tutorials on the same page. And also it has, on that page, it has maps and photographs of Chequers showing the ley lines, showing the energy centers, showing the valleys, showing the hills. So that is all there on that page. There is a link below. You can click on the link and watch it on my website. And it is good to have a little look through those photographs so you have an idea of what I'm talking about. It'll make everything clearer. So this is a long video, but I've made it in sections so you can watch it bit by bit if you wish. I didn't want to break it up into separate videos. I wanted it in the same place, everything contained. So it is one video, but it is sections, and you can do it in bits if you wish. So without any further ado, let's begin. So first I'm going to talk a little bit about this ancient pilgrimage track called the Ridgeway that comes through this site at Chequers. Now the Ridgeway is 6,000 years old. It is thought of as a national treasure. It is a public right of way and has been given to the people as part of their spiritual and historical heritage. So in the past, for a long, long time, it was just a track for people to travel along for at least 6,000 years, and a pilgrimage route. There are sacred sites all along it, and it is thought of as a sacred site because the walking of it, the whole distance of it, is the meditation. It's connecting to the earth, it's connecting to ourselves, it's connecting to the heavens. So the whole Ridgeway is thought of as a sacred site. And then there are sacred sites all along the Ridgeway. There are stone circles, there are burial mounds, there's the Uffington White Horse, there are standing stones, there are whole ancient burial grounds for all of the ceremonies that went on around people dying. There's the Avebury Centre, which has got stone circles and Silbury Hill and all sorts of things there. It's all along the Ridgeway, all these different sacred sites, and I'll be showing how Chequers is one of those sacred sites. And where the Ridgeway comes through here at Chequers, we have one hill called Coombe Hill here, one hill called Beacon Hill here, and the ridge comes up to these two hills. You can see the ridge coming up to these two hills, and you've got the Ridgeway path coming up to these two hills. Then it comes down and back in an arc, comes directly, exactly through where I'm filming, goes exactly through the gatehouse at Chequers, runs just in front of the mansion at Chequers, and then up to Beacon Hill. So it comes to these two hills and makes this lovely cup shape where the ridge runs through here. Now, I think first, before I go any further, that is the Ridgeway, and we'll talk a bit more about that in a little while. But first, I'm going to talk a little bit about this dell and the activations that have happened from this dell, but also the reason how this video came about. So originally I came to this little dell because it seemed perfect for making videos, and I made videos on healing, on holographic breathing, on meditation, working with earth energies, working with sacred sites from here, and they are all free of charge on my website. But the energy here in this dell was fantastic for that. It was very beneficial. These deep, dark, rich, healing energies would rise. darks very strongly in this dell, very healing. When I say dark, I don't mean bad dark. It's just quite often earth energies, or our lower energies can represent that, have a darker quality, and the higher energies in us have a high energy. It's the same with the earth, and it's a very rich, darker quality. Also the higher energies were coming in, but it made this wonderful quality and was beneficial to make the videos from. And you can see it also on the map. It is equidistance on the ridgeway, is equidistance between the tops of the hills and the ridgeway and a sacred track running back. So there is the picture of a chalice and a focal point in this little dell, even though at the time I didn't know that. So one, it had this wonderful energy. It had the ridgeway coming right through it this way, which added to the energy. That has a very healing energy, the ridgeway coming through it. And there was an ancient track coming down from the valley in front, directly through this little dell and going back. So it made a circle with a cross of energies going through. So it was very beneficial, very nice place to make videos and to hang out, really. And I didn't know at the time that this energy coming directly through and across Chequers was the ridgeway, because we're not told that it is the ridgeway. Where we're told the ridgeway is from Coombe Hill, comes back about half a mile behind me around the southern perimeter of Chequers, and then goes off to join the real ridgeway further along. So it misses out this arc through Chequers, misses out this beautiful hill, Beacon Hill, and the ridgeway going off in that direction for a bit. It misses out that whole section. But after making a couple of videos, it just dawned on me that this energy coming through the dell was the ridgeway, because I've worked with the ridgeway a lot. I've worked with the sacred sites along the ridgeway a lot. So it just dawned on me that this was the ridgeway. And as soon as I realised that, you can see it. You can see the ridge going up the hill to the top of Coombe Hill. You can see it going across the road. You can see it going through the gatehouse. You can see it going in front of Chequers and up to Beacon Hill. You can just see the whole ridge, and from the top of the hills you can see it. So it's just there to be seen. And at first I was upset, because I like to walk along the ridgeway, and it was upsetting. And it's not just healing for us, it's healing for the earth, and it has been given to the people. It is a natural, it is a public right of way. So I wanted to walk across through Chequers up to Beacon Hill. Obviously not allowed to do that. So I thought I'd make this video to show that. But in the making of the video, what happened was that the land here started speaking to me much more strongly, and started mapping out this whole huge sacred site here, and showing me the energies of it and activations of those energies coming to life. So it started out of a place of upset, but then became of the energies of the whole site, which you can access without actually walking on those areas. You can energetically access the whole site, or at least I can, or try to. And it wasn't just that we lost the ridgeway here. This whole area is owned by Britain. This area where I am is for walkers, going up to Coombe Hill and beyond. Chequers is owned by Britain. The other side of Chequers, and for miles, is owned by Britain. This whole swathe of land is beautiful countryside, and mainly for walkers, or everywhere except for Chequers is for walkers. And this whole area originally was, excuse me, this whole area was an estate, and all in one place. And so both Beacon Hill and Coombe Hill and the area of Chequers and the valleys, it was all one area. And you could walk the whole area. But when the Prime Minister moved in, then it was separated. That area around Chequers was fenced off and you could no longer get to it. So what before had been a chalice suddenly was separated. The people couldn't get to this part, and presumably the Prime Minister didn't walk much on this part anyway, but it was separated. So a lot of the talking of this and showing it as a sacred site is bringing it into a whole picture, and for me that is healing on its own. Just describe it as a whole picture, as a whole site, so that people know, well, we have lost access to the Ridgeway, but here is a picture of the whole site and how it works. And at the end of this video, there is a bit about the vision of what could be here, of how it could be given back to the people so the people could walk this land, and how it would be beneficial for all, for the earth, for the heavens, for the people, for everyone. So that is at the end. So I'm going to go on and now just talk about the energies of this site. We have Coombe Hill here, it's the highest hill in Buckinghamshire. Beacon Hill here, very truly magical hill, and they both have very high energies. And Coombe Hill has a male quality to it. It's got this connection to the high energies and has a male quality. So that's Coombe Hill. Beacon Hill has a high energy connecting to the heavenly energies and the high energies, but has a female energy. And there's a natural communication between these two hills along the Ridgeway. So not only do you have the energies of the Ridgeway coming up to these hills and coming along the ridge between these two hills, you have this male-female tantra balancing between. It will also balance through the major cup-shaped valley in front, but majorly along the ridge here. And that is through the whole site, and it makes this site slightly different to most other sites. Most other sites are more a circle with a central connection to the higher energies in the middle, whereas this site has two higher connections. It has a male higher connection and has a female higher connection that mixes and blends through the whole site. So the other thing about this site is the shape that makes the shape of a chalice. And you have a cup-shaped valley that drops down in front of me into this cup-shaped valley, and back from me there is a U-shaped valley travelling back. So this U-shaped valley is gently rising until it gets to where I am here and where Chequers is, or where the whole Ridgeway is. So this U-shaped valley comes up to where the ridge is, and then the ridge is the rim of that U-shaped valley as it drops down deeper into a cup-shaped valley. So you've got the U-shaped valley gently rising up, very slowly rising up, and then this drops down into a cup-shaped valley. The rim between the two of those is the natural walkway, it is the ridgeway, it has the energies travelling through it. So it has this shape. Now, where I am sitting here in this little dell in the woods, this is centre, distance-wise, between the tops of these two hills. So it holds a certain placement. It connects equally between the two hills, so there's a certain placement of that. Chequers also has a placement. Chequers is the lowest point on the ridge between these two hills. So this point here where I'm is equidistance. Chequers is the lowest point on the ridge, so that also holds a place. It's like the yin point between these two hills. And so what you have, and again on the first map you can see it, Chequers, the rows around Chequers makes the cup, the chalice, and you've got this U-shaped valley running back, and right along the centre of this U-shaped valley, it is a cup, it is a kind of flat bottom, but it does come to a V at the bottom, and there's this strong energy line running up the centre of that valley, and you can stand on that and you can feel it. It's very strong, and it comes to a pond fed by a spring at the bottom, which also is an energy centre, has a very strong energy. So from that pond it runs straight up the centre of the valley and just comes past the side of Chequers, and then where that joins to the ridgeway, for me that point there is the very lowest point on the ridge between the two hills. It is also exactly on this energy line that runs straight into it. So for me that is probably holding the heart of the site, a very central place on the site. Is just to the side of Chequers, has that strong energy line in it, connects to the ridgeway, is the lowest point of the ridgeway between the two hills. From there it obviously drops down into the cup-shaped valley, but it holds a prominent position. Obviously can't work the energy there, but you have to take it into account when working with the energies here. Now also what you have here is these hills, they're a bit like the head. They represent the high energies and the connections to the heavens. As you drop down around the ridge, when you come to where I am and where Chequers is, this is more to do with the heart energy. It's dropped down a level, and that's normal with hills. Normally the tops of hills are very spiritual. You drop down into the valley, it's more earth. It's easier to sleep in the valleys than on the top of the hill. So these hills have a very high sparkling white energy on the top. As it comes down it gets lower. This represents the heart, this middle stretch. Then as you drop back through the U-shaped valley, this is like dropping down through the abdomen and down to the pelvis, and the pond at the bottom would be like the pubic centre where the pelvis is, and then also the deep earth centre. So you've got that, you've got the deep earth centre and pubic centre of the pond, and this runs up, slowly getting higher till it gets to where Chequers is and where I am, much more to the heart, and then right up to the top of these hills, much more to do with the head and the heavenly connection. So it mirrors us. And also in the deep cup-shaped valley, it does get more grounded and earthed as you get down towards the bottom of the cup-shaped valley as well. So there's kind of an earth there. It's part of the bowl of the chalice, but it also has an earth to it as you get to the bottom of the cup-shaped valley. So that is the general energies of it here, and energy points. You've got energy points on top of the hills, you've got an energy point where I am, there's an energy point at Chequers, and there's a deep earth potency energy point at the spring or the well or the pond at the bottom of Chequers there. And now I'm going to go on how that is mirrored in us and how we can use these mudras, hand mudras, to find that in ourselves. And then after that I will be going on to describe activations here. So the next bit is how it activates and works within us, and then after that it'll be how it activates in the actual site here, what it's like when it actually starts working, when it comes to life, when it connects to the heavens, when it starts talking to us, where it deeply connects to the earth and the energies through it and the whole ridgeway and everything, when that all comes about. So we'll be talking about that. And then at the very end there will be the vision of what could be here, or a vision of what could be here. There is an impetus, for me, there is an impetus from the earth here that it wants this area to be walked. So there's the vision at the end that is good for all. It's good for this site, it's good for the universe, it's good for us, it's good for the earth, good for everyone. So there's that vision at the end. And also, if you feel that this information is interesting to yourself and you enjoy it and it may be interesting to other people, please share this video, because as from what I can see, I'm the only person who really knows about this sacred site at the minute, and the more people that know, the more chance there is of people being able to walk this land again here at Chequers, or also to come here, even if that does not become available, to come here and work and walk the areas that can be walked. Okay, so we're going on to how it is represented in us, and the hand mudras of the chalice and the prayer, and we'll be showing where the prayer is also on this site. So first I'm going to talk about the hand mudra for the chalice, or this is the hand mudra I use to depict this energy. Whether other people do, I really don't know. But the chalice is, you know, we have the shape of the chalice here. It's talked about in a lot of spiritual ways. There's the chalice is used in pagan rituals, in druid type rituals, I think probably in rituals in Wicca. It also has chalice in different religions as well. So it's a well-known symbol, it's the chalice, and normally thought to do with femininity. And there is a male side to it as well, but it's thought of as it's a receptacle, it's a vessel, it has a more female quality to it, or for me it has a more female quality. And all of this, talking about the energies, talking about the activations and all the different things, it is my experience of it, and it doesn't mean that that experience is correct for yourself. So, you know, it's fine. You know, I will tell you how I'm feeling and my experience of this, but for people it's absolutely okay. Just have your own views of how this all goes off. I'm not saying what I'm saying is the end and be all to it. So for me, the chalice, and as soon as I make this hand mudra, the cup part of the chalice starts filling with a white spiritual energy, because it's facing up to the heavens and it's making a cup, and cups fill. They fill. So it fills with heavenly energy. And it's interesting in this site that the chalice is pointing north, and quite often in different traditions the north is thought of as the spiritual energy being received. And when I make a picture of a chalice with my hands, it starts filling up with spiritual energy, and as that happens my head also starts filling up with a white light. And as it drops more down into the palms and the heels of the hands, you can feel it dropping more into the heart. So it's a bit like this area relates more to the heart. And then as it starts grounding down through the arms, it's more like the abdomen, the hara, the pelvis, the deep earth centers. So it is a reflection of us. For me, the chalice is a reflection of us. It receives high energies. It makes a vessel to receive high energies. And then as it does that, it transmutes them down and earths them. And that, as we do it with the hand mudra, at the same time that happens in us, it's like the head becomes receiving the higher energy. And it drops down to the heart. It transmutes down into more loving energy. It transmutes down into a more strong, earth, grounded potency as it drops down through the body. So it is a receptacle for receiving spiritual energies, transmuting it through the different centers and connecting it to the earth. So this symbol, chalice, is an energy receiver and transmuter and connecting to earth, which in effect is what we are. We are an energy receiver, transmuter and connecting to the earth in that female principle, the receiving of the spiritual energy. Now, and that's not to say men can't do that. With the chalice it just has a more female side to it. It is male as well. With the chalice, this half is male, this half is female. It does have both halves, but we'll be looking more at the male-female between these two different things in a little bit. And what happens as soon as the chalice starts receiving and transmuting the higher energies, the equal and opposite starts to happen. The body energies start to rise and transmute as they move up the body through the different centers, and they come to the top of the head, and then they transcend. So you get the heavenly energies coming in and transforming through the body and connecting to the earth, and you have the earth energies, and as a reply you have the earth energies and body energies moving up the body and connecting back to the heavens. So it becomes a conversation. The shape of the chalice is that spiritual conversation between the heavens and the earth and through us as a vessel. Now, the prayer, and where this relates to on this side, when you change from one hand mudra to the other, there's a shift in the energies of the body and it connects to the kundalini and rises up. That's why I'm closing my eyes just to let that go through, and I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. The area on this site that relates to the prayer is Beacon Hill. You can look on the first map to see that, and the ridgeway running along that. You have the ridgeway from Chequers coming up, making the right hand side of the prayer, and you have the ridgeway coming up the other side, and the hand part of this is Beacon Hill. So on this site, Beacon Hill represents the hand mudra of the Namaste prayer. And the way this hand mudra works, or energetically works, is more like an arrow pointing upwards. The energies are ascending first. It's an arrow pointing upwards. The chalice is an arrow pointing downwards. It's more like a vessel to receive the higher energies and then transform them downwards. The prayer is like an arrow pointing upwards, and it's like the bowl is here and the hands are the stem. It's the other way round. And first of all, as the initiation in the prayer, the energies rise up the arms and through the bowl into the hands and then start to ascend. It's pointing upwards and the energies ascend. And as that happens in the hand mudra, it happens in our body. The energies in our body start rising and transmuting until it gets to a point when they start ascending and connecting to the heavenly energies. So the energies in the arms rise through the hands, it's the heart center, and the fingers are more to do with the head, and then starts ascending through the fingertips, connecting to the heavenly energies. And as that happens in the arms and hands, that happens in our body. So for me, this is more of a male quality. It's an arrow pointing forwards and up. It's going outwardly to communicate with the heavenly energies. And as soon as it does that, as soon as it connects to the heavenly energies from us to the heavenly energies, then there is a response from the heavenly energies that they start communicating back. And the hands receive that heavenly energy down through the hands, down through the arms. And you have both halves. You have a male half and you have a female half. But it has, for me, has an overall quality of male to it, this position. So you get the same effect with the chalice. You get a communication and transformation with the heavens and earth, but it's working from the opposite direction. It's from the earth, from the body, with the intention of connecting to the heavens. And then when that connection happens, then the heavens start talking back. They start communicating back. The energy starts coming down through the hands and arms and through the body. There's a good reason that this hand mudra is used for the prayer around the earth. Because it's like having a telephone line to the heavenly energies, or whatever you want to call that energy or body. It's like having and it is instigated from us and goes to the heavens, then the heavens speak back. Then the chalice is receiving first. The prayer is going out first, the chalice is receiving first. It's receiving the heavenly energies, and then the body, first it receives it and transmutes it, then it's communicating back. So this for me is more female, has a more female quality to it. When I use this hand mudra, this has a more male quality. And there's this thing that happens in the body when you swap from one to the other. You move from one energy to another. And what it feels like is happening is that we're moving from female and downwards to male and upwards. And when we move between those, when we come to the center point of those energies in ourselves, where we come to the center point of our male and female internal energies and the center point of our upward and downward energies, there's a release that runs up through the center line of the body, through the spine, out through the top of the head. There's this energy goes off in our central line of our body and connects to the heavenly energies. The Kundalini energies go off. So that is what happens when you swap between the two. So that is a lot to do with what is happening on our side, how it's mirrored in us. And after this video there will be a guided meditation, doing that at a good speed, because you need to spend a bit of time getting used to the quality of one. Then moving to the other and allowing the change of the energies and the connection through, and relaxing the neck and head as it goes through, then getting used to the energies of the other. And I do it with breathing, and specifically holographic breathing. That just makes it more powerful. Holographic breathing, very gentle, natural breathing. I'll just show a bit so you can see how natural and gentle it is. A very gentle motion of the jaw. You probably won't even be able to see it. And it's interesting that the thumbs come to the lips in this. So when you do that with breathing, it deeply relaxing, it deeply connects to the hand mudra, and reflects the energies of this site. With holographic breathing, it's designed to make those connections strongly and deeply. It deeply takes people into a transcendental state very quickly. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to what this site looks like when the site is activated. These hand mudras help us activate it in ourselves, and now we're going to look at what happens when this site activates, when this site comes to life, when this site starts communicating. And then after that, there will be the vision of what could happen here. So this experience happened just after the winter solstice 2015. And I'd been making a video. It was it was very close to when I just was finding out about the energies here at Chequers. I think it was a day or two past the solstice. And I've been making a video of the energies here at Chequers and the landscape. And because it was around the winter solstice, the light was so low that the picture didn't come out, so I couldn't use the video. But I was just sitting down afterwards and just relaxing and letting the energies go through. And the energies in this dell just started rising very strongly. And I think because I've been talking about the energies here at Chequers and describing them, they decided they were going to start talking back. So I kind of started the conversation, they were going to finish it, as it were. So the energies in this dell were rising very strongly, and also the energies of the ridgeway travelling through the dell and across Chequers became much stronger. The flow was much stronger, the ambience of it was much stronger, everything about it was lifting, very healing energy. And where it goes through the gatehouse here and across Chequers land, it was beckoning me to follow, kind of with my awareness or energetically to follow along with that energy as it travelled across Chequers. And before, really, I hadn't, I was aware of the energies, but I hadn't gone with it so much. I hadn't gone strongly with it because it is a boundary, it's guarded, the Prime Minister lives out. I hadn't wanted to intrude, but the energies really wanted me to show me something, and come along, come through here. So I did. I just went along with the energies, and it was like it was going along, and it would come into a bit where the energy was a bit low, and then it would lift, and it would go along a bit further, and it would come to another bit. And something to do with me being with it was enabling the energy to become stronger and open. It just opened and got stronger and opened. It was like it's opening gates as it went through. It just kept on opening and opening until it was really completely open all the way through, right up to Beacon Hill, and then it whooshed off along the ridgeway, and then suddenly the energies of the whole ridge through this dale in both directions, it felt like it just lifted. It was like breathed, it opened and whoosh, and I could see and feel the whole ridgeway all along. And I think because this area through Chequers had not been viewed as the ridgeway for a long time and had not been walked for a long time, the energy had got low. The earth energy will always be there, but there's something to the walking of the ridgeway and the connection of the human matrix, the ridgeway, and the spirituality that brings it to life. It's designed to be walked. That's why it's a pilgrimage route. The walking of it builds an energy, and because it hadn't had that, I think it got a bit low, but me knowing what it was, validating what it was, and going along with it with awareness just was all it needed for it to open. And then suddenly the whole thing was kind of awake, and I could feel it off in both directions. And I think it was also my perception changed to allow that, because really, you know, I've been aware of a bit of the top of Beacon Hill, because only part of the top of Beacon Hill can be walked, and I was aware of this side. So really before that I was only holding it as half a chalice, this kind of area up to Coombe Hill, just aware of that half of this chalice more strongly. You can pour as much wine as you want into half a chalice, it's not going to work. But as soon as I was aware strongly and taking, not just aware, but actively being aware of this site, and through Chequers, as soon as I was actively aware of all of that, suddenly the chalice was working, and the energies were working, and the energies started interacting more strongly, that I was holding that vision. And it means something to our bodies. When we view a chalice, it means something to our body, because it's an aspect of our inner spirituality. So as soon as I held it as a whole chalice, that started something happening in me. And at that point, this open, but also the energies in the dell started rising much more strongly. And to start off with, they were very dark, strong, potent energies. And this is similar when I work with a lot of sites, not all sites, but some sites for the first time, if they haven't been worked for a long time, there's this very potent, dark energies rise, or earth energies rise. And dark isn't bad or wrong, it's just potent, it's just earth energies are lower energies. The pelvis area, in the sit bones, in the lower energies, they have a darker quality, and as you get up through the energies up to the top of the head, it has a very bright energy. So I was kind of used to that when starting off with working with the site, that it is very dark, and then after a while they get to a potency and you get this bright white energy coming down through the middle. The spiritual energy arrives, and everything lightens, everything starts working together. The spirituality is lighting up the darker energies, and the darker energies are giving the light energies potency and life. So there's this communication goes off at a certain point. So these energies started rising. They really wanted to work, they really wanted to talk, or I'd been talking about them, and so they were going to talk back. And I realized that I had not actively sat down and made the space to work with these energies in the Dell before. I'd done generally through the whole site, but I hadn't taken out the time and space just to work with the energies of the Dell. So I did that. I made the space, I dedicated it to love and healing for all, and I just started gently doing holographic breathing. That's what I do when I'm working or meditating or healing or working with earth energies. I just gently do holographic breathing, and whatever wants to evolve out of that within those parameters of healing and love just can go off, really, can happen. So I just started breathing very gently, and these strong, potent energies were rising. And it was interesting, there were two columns of energies, and this site has two sides. It has two columns in a way. So it had the energies were rising, but there were two intelligences coming up, which were like the poles in a way. And it just rose, and it got stronger, and it got more potent. And I was kind of waiting for this spiritual connection to come down, but that isn't what happened. It grew and grew to potency till it was filling the whole Dell. It made this bubble of energy filling the whole Dell. And rather than the spiritual energy come in, when it got to that potency, when it got to that strength, this bubble just whooshed off, just expanded really quickly along the ridgeway up to the top of Coombe Hill and Beacon Hill. And that is where it's art. That is where it connected to the higher energies. And then the higher energies flowed down through that into the Dell. And then everything lightened. The energies here got a lot lighter. The lower energies were interacting with the higher energies. The higher energies were interacting with the energies in this Dell. It was earthing down into the valleys in both directions. So suddenly the site was working. It was activating. I'm just gently doing holographic breathing. It was quite interesting in that as that energy rushed off, in that arcing of the energies, there were several images and words came about. And one of the images was that this little Dell was a lock, and the human matrix was like the key, and that it was at a place where it could activate the whole site. It is equidistant to the tops of both hills, and it access to the valley going backwards. Now at the time I didn't know that. I didn't know it was equidistant, so it makes more sense now. I think Chequers is obviously the other place that would be a place to sit and work with the whole site, because it is the lowest point on the ridge between the two hills and connecting to the centre of the valley, running backwards and down to the pond. So Chequers at that energy centre at Chequers there, that would also be a place to activate and work with this whole site, for me. So there was that, there was this lock and key type image. This energy, as it travelled off up, it went really quick. The image was of the buffalo horns. It was like two horns going up, and it had a potency to it and a power to it. And buffaloes, or bull or cow, these are powerful energies, these are powerful animals, and they also have a spirituality. So there was the image of the horns, of the buffalo horns, rising up to the tops of the hills, this potency rising, as it were. And as soon as the higher energies came in, that melted, because it melted the potency. Suddenly it was working both ways. The spiritual energy started travelling down through that, and that image melted and everything became much lighter. And as these horns went up, the words that came with that was that this site is a powerhouse. It's a very potent, strong site. Now, afterwards I thought, I wondered if that was to do with the house of Chequers being a seat of power, but it wasn't. It was that this site is a powerful site, and I think it helps to power the whole Ridgeway. But also, if you think of it as a person, if a person has that potency, has that power, has that strength, and it doesn't always show as you think of in films, it's just that inner potency and power. They also normally have a strong connection to the spiritual. So have a potency rising that connects to the spiritual, and then that gives access to a strong spiritual energy coming down and transforming through. So the words were that this was a powerhouse. You can translate that however you wish, but for me it meant that this site was a strong, potent site that gave strength to all around, and the Ridgeway was my image of feeling about that. So as this all started going off, as the whole site started working and coming to life, where these horns have gone up, or the energies have gone up, was almost instantly became this sparkling light energy that filled the hills. It was as if the hills were hollow, and it had the feeling of being a spaceship. Now, it wasn't going to fly off and go away, it just had that feeling. I think that was because it was connecting to the universal energies. It wasn't so much that it was flying to the universe was entering it in a way through these portals and the tops of these hills. And also, at that level, we are on a spaceship. The Earth is a spaceship flying through the solar system, through the universe at great speed. So in a way we are that, but also it had that quality. The arms through these two hills had this quality of if they could float away as if they were connecting to the universe, and that heavenly energies were coming down into the tops of these hills. Higher energies, higher beings were arriving, and it had that quality of allowing that. And then they could come down more, and it wasn't like a portal where they would just go through. It's like they're arriving into a vessel, like a ship. They're arriving into a port, into a vessel where they could stay, where not only were there the higher energies, there were the heart energies as it came through here, the lower energies and deep earth connection at the pond. There's a bit lower energies at the bottom of the cup-shaped valley as well. So they were arriving in a vessel where there was male and female, where there was higher, where there was the heart, where there was the hara, where there was the pubic center, the earth center. It had the whole matrix here, that these energies were arriving into a matrix where they could kind of hang out and get used to that matrix, because where they came from may not have had the same matrix. They could come down into that matrix and evolve and understand that, and then they could travel off along the Ridgeway out across the land to do whatever it is they had come to do, and they could come back and have access back to where they came from. So it had this image. A spaceship is kind of the image, but it's staying in here. It's a port, not a portal either, it's a port. It's a vessel where they could arrive and hang out and come back to. And also, as that was happening, the deep earth energies, the heart energies, were rising in the vessel. Not only that the higher energies it was activating and connecting to the heavens, which was coming down through it, same way as when we have the hand mudra, the higher energies come through. The deep root earth energies from the pond and through this valley and up through the capture were rising and coming to the tops of these hills where they could ascend. So this whole shape became operational. It started to work. And the human matrix is the same. It's the same thing. So as it activated in the land, it was activating in myself. So I was privy to that. I could be with that. It was the same thing. This makes the shape of the chalice, and we are the chalice. So after that I realized the importance of actively staying open through Chequers. You know, this part I was actively open because we were allowed to go there, and I was walking there constantly. But this way it was a bit hidden, it was a bit taboo, we weren't allowed to go there. But energetically I realised the importance of allowing myself to actively be with the energies as they travel through Chequers, and that enhanced that, but also it activated it in me. It meant something started working in me. So this next activation happened probably a couple of days after the one from the Dell, and I was sitting at the front of Beacon Hill and looking over to Coombe Hill. Beacon Hill is my favourite hill. There's a truly magical energy there. There are burial mounds, there's a circle at the front which we're going to talk about, there's a church at the bottom, but just the energies of Beacon Hill is truly magical, and I think there's probably a lot to do with it that it's got the shape of the prayer, and it's also got the shape of the chalice there, so it is both, and I think that gives it an extra potency. But anyway, I was sitting towards the front of Beacon Hill and viewing over to Coombe Hill, and I was viewing the whole site. So if I'm sitting there, Chequers is through here, Coombe Hill is over here, the little dell is over here, and then you've got the valley going back this way. And it had become important for me to stay actively open through the whole Chequers area, because that brought the site to life. Me actively engaging with the energies there brought it all alive. So I was doing that, and it's interesting in these activations, the first time they happen it's very strong, because it needs to build to potency and then kind of to make it happen. But then after that it all relaxes down, and the high energies are coming in and the earth energies are rising, so it's just going off in a much more soft way. So it was activated, but it's very soft, because in myself it's already going, as it were. So I was just sitting there aware of this chalice, and that was activating through me at the same time. And as this was all happening, I just started becoming aware of this energy rising up behind me and coming down behind me. There was just something quite incredible happening behind me, and I kept looking around to see what was going on, and the feeling was that I shouldn't be looking into the chalice this way, but actually needed to be looking back in the other direction. And when I looked round, I could see it in the earth. There's this natural circle there that I'd never seen before, because it's very flat, it just rises a bit at the edges of the circle, and I was sitting on the edge of the circle and looking over to Coombe Hill, so that's why I could feel this thing happening. And so I came back centre on Beacon Hill, so the circle was in front of me this way, got the front of Beacon Hill there, and then down to the church. And there was this tremendous energy being received down into this circle, and I've never seen it before. I've seen, one or sometimes two energies arriving, but this was like 12 or 13 higher beings all dropping down into this circle as it was kind of activating. I think me being aware of the chalice and just sitting and gently breathing with holographic breathing, it had activated it, or it wanted to speak back. I'd done videos about it, now it was talking back. It was going to tell me what it does. The chalice was saying, look, I do this, this and this, and this is what it was doing. And there were 12 or 13 higher beings all arriving down into this circle, and they were like a conference. They weren't doing their own thing, they were a unit in a way. They were separate beings, but their combination was far more than their separate parts, and they were emitting this incredible spiritual wisdom that was in a way like guidance for the earth, for nature, for human beings, of how it could all be, how it could be in harmony, how it could evolve. And you can't understand it intellectually. It's higher than the intellect. The intellect's gone at that stage. So I just sat. I'd never seen anything like it before, but I just sat and gently did holographic breathing and allowed this energy to pour through me, and it was pouring down into the top of Beacon Hill. And after a while, these 12 or 13 energies just came together as one light, filled the whole circle, and was just pouring like a waterfall into the top of Beacon Hill. Incredible healing, beneficial energy, and Beacon Hill was rising up to it, and it was just going deep into the earth. It wasn't stopping in the hill, it was going deep, deep into the earth. And it felt like a major acupuncture point, not just for this site or for the Ridgeway, or even for the whole country, but for the whole world. And it was tremendously healing as the light poured in. It was just benefiting all and everything. And I just sat and gently did holographic breathing, and after a while, I don't know how long, it just slowly came to a balance point. And again, the same as before, the next time it was much more gentle, and then after a while it's there as a potential, but the connection is already going. It doesn't need this huge, it's like starting an engine. Once it's started, it can just tick along gently. So it was just kind of doing that, at least for me. And I think one of the reasons it's so powerful there is because it is the prayer, and because it is the chalice. And as with the prayer, it gets brighter and brighter and higher as you come up through the arms, up through the fingers, and as it ascends, it gets brighter and brighter. And if you stand at the back of Beacon Hill, it's quite dark. It's a bit like the back of the head. For me, the back of the head, it opens up into this, when I'm channeling, into a kind of a deep, dark, void or connection to creation, which has this darkness to it, emptiness to it, with the potential of all. And then as you come forwards to the centre, there is much brighter, whiter energy. And that, so with Beacon Hill, when you're at the back of Beacon Hill, it's a darker energy, it's a higher energy, there has a darkness to it. Then as you come forwards along Beacon Hill, it just gets brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter till you get to this circle at the front. And you get this ascension, and you get also the higher energies arriving, and then this travels back. So what you have is the ridgeway coming through Chequers up onto Beacon Hill. You have the ridgeway coming the other way up onto Beacon Hill. You have these energies coming along, and Beacon Hill's a peninsula. It has very steep sides, and it also has a fairly steep front to it, but it's kind of goes down quickly at the sides. So this energy comes onto Beacon Hill from this huge landmass, and then suddenly there's nowhere for it to go, and as it travels forward, some of it can travel back, but as it's travelling forwards, it's being confined, and the further forward you get, the more of it and more of it starts to ascend, because there's nowhere else to go. It can't go out the sides, it can't go off the front, and it starts to ascend until you get to this little circle at the front, and off it goes, it ascends like the pads of the fingers. And you also get this higher energy receiving back into it, and that travels back along the ridgeway. So you get the energies of the ridgeway flowing in to the prayer, and you get the light flowing back out and along the ridgeway. So it is like a powerhouse. It's got this strength, but it's also got this spirituality that feeds the whole ridgeway and the land around. And it is also interesting, as you'll find when in the meditation afterwards, when we work with the prayer, we work with the chalice, and how they have different energies. And when you move from one to the other, as the male and female come to their central place, and the higher and the lower come to the central place, at that point there's an ignition, and there's this energy release up through the spine, through the neck, up through the head, and up through the top of the head, and off to the earth, to the heavens. There's the kundalini, the vertical energy through the body. You have the lateral, the male and female energies, then you have this vertical energy as it all comes together and rises and goes down. And after a while of swapping back and forth, that just stays open. So you have this energy, incredibly healing energy, opening through the central line. And because Beacon Hill is both, because it's the prayer and it's the chalice, I think it's just opened up this port that's just there all of the time. Same as when we move from one to the other. It's just there, permanently gone off in that hill. And also you've got to remember, this site has been here for a long time before we have, and has been working for a long time before humanity arrived, and has all of the energies of humanity and of the earth here, and has the higher energies arriving and the lower energies ascending. This is all happening in here before we were. So for me, in a way, this site and sites like it all around the earth are a lot to do with the creation of life on earth. It is there happening in an energetic way, and at a certain point it becomes manifest. It starts happening in a physical way. And also an interesting thing about Beacon Hill, which I'm not sure about yet, I've got to wait for the next winter solstice to find out, the winter solstice, at the time of that initiation, it started much more with the energies arriving, which is much more to do with the chalice. And for that time, it was much more the energies arriving, and it was a bit the energies ascending, and then that balanced out after a while. So it was both. But now at the summer solstice, where I'm filming this, it's much more to do with the energies leaving, which is much more the initiation of the prayer. They leave first and then the higher energies come back down. So it may be seasonal as well. It may move from the chalice and the receptacle in the winter, or more that in the winter when the earth is very receptive and receiving more, right into that solstice. And then at the summer solstice it becomes more the prayer, and everything is energized and the energies are releasing. Because when I sit there now, it just is so bright. It just gives a pain in the top of my head, because it's just so ascending there at the minute. So we'll see the next solstice anyway. But it has both opening up through that hill all the time. So I think it's opened this central Kundalini connection between the heavens and the earth, as it would happen in us. It's happening in nature and happening on Beacon Hill. It's happening to a certain extent on Coombe Hill, but as I said, it's over a much larger area. And then you have the balancing centres, where I am here, equidistance in the Dell, at Chequers, the lowest point on the ridge between the two hills, and also connecting to this energy line at the centre of the U-shaped valley, going back to the pond, this deep root earth connection at the pond. And you need that earth connection, and also that potency rising up through the chalice, up through the prayer. You've got that strong potency rising. That gives the impetus for a strong spiritual energy being received back. So the site has the whole matrix, and for me it is an important spiritual site along the Ridgeway. I work with the spiritual sites along the Ridgeway, and this is an important one of those. Okay, so now I'm going to talk a bit about the vision of what could be here. So this video started from a place of upset. I found out that the ridge travels straight through Chequers, and the Ridgeway is a public right of way, and I was upset that I couldn't use it, that I was stopped from using it. And it's not just important for me, my feeling is that it's also important for the earth and the well-being of all, that the Ridgeway is walked and that it can work with the Ridgeway. So it started from this place of upset, and as I started making this little movie, the earth started talking to me, and there's been many activations and many things gone on. I've talked of a few, but there are a lot. And this whole thing opened, the whole picture opened, which I've started to explain here. Now I will make more videos about it. But also along with that initial feeling of wanting to make a video to show what we have lost here, so hopefully we can get it back, but we've lost access to the Ridgeway and we've lost access to half the Chalice here. I would like it that we had access to it, but there's also an impetus, or seems to be an impetus from the earth here, that the earth also wants that. That is important for the earth. it's important for the spiritual connections, it's important for mankind. There is such a wisdom and such a healing that arrives here and leaves from here. Would be highly beneficial for mankind to be able to walk this whole site and view this whole site as whole rather than half, rather than divided and not even know about the other half. So for me there's an importance to this, and there's also that impetus from the earth, that there's the energy there for that reconnection, for it being of major use to humans and mankind, and the energy of the earth and the animals and nature and everything. So this whole bit of land is owned by Britain. The bit here with Beacon Hill, Coombe Hill, the bit where Chequers is owned by Britain, the other bit, the other side, this whole area is owned by Britain, and it only became divided when the Prime Minister moved in and they sectioned off that area. So the Prime Minister doesn't have to live here. He didn't live here in the war. He didn't live here. The Prime Minister moved in 100 years ago. It's just the 100th birthday coming up now. So the Prime Ministers didn't live here before that, and they don't have to live here now. We can find an appropriate place for the Prime Minister to live. There are lots. And for me, it would just be lovely if this whole area, it's National Trust at the minute, but if Chequers was given to the National Trust as well. So, and it makes me feel really happy inside just to see that as being a reality or a possibility, so that people can walk the ridge through here, that people can walk back to the pond at the bottom, that they can walk in the woods into the cup-shaped valley, that they can walk this whole U-shaped valley. It doesn't matter if people understand what it is energetically or not, or whether they are spiritually or energetically inclined or not. Just walking it will be healing. Walking in nature is healing. Walking on spiritual sites is spiritually healing. So it'd be truly beneficial, and in people's mind's eye suddenly they will view the shape of this whole site, because they will be able to view it because they'll be walking it. So suddenly they will view it as a chalice, suddenly they will view it as a prayer, which will mean something to their bodies, whether they are spiritual or not, whether they know what it is or not. It will mean something. Chequers, the house, the mansion at Chequers, has clearly been built onto the ridgeway, as part of the ridgeway, and the roads around Chequers show the picture of the chalice, pointing not just slightly in the same direction, exactly. The road coming south is exactly parallel to the centre of the valley. The arc is exactly mimicking the cup. It was built onto the ridgeway. It's the only house on the whole ridgeway, and at the minute the National Trust are trying to promote the ridgeway so people see it as a whole thing. This would be a beautiful house as part of the ridgeway, to show the ridgeway, to have an information centre there, to have a restaurant there, maybe have a spa there, people could stay, and it would generate an income that the National Trust can use to look after this whole area and more. At the minute there is nowhere on this area that they can use to generate income. Chequers would do that. It would be useful energetically, spiritually, physically for people walking. It would make sense financially. It would give a wonderful income for the National Trust. So for me, it would be lovely if you feel that this video has been useful to you in any way, and also you would like that people know about this and that maybe we get the land back. Please share this video, because at the minute it's kind of only me that knows about it. So now that you've watched it, there's more, and now if people share it, then more people can learn about it, more people can enjoy it, but also there's the potential of getting it back. So there's no longer this divide in the land here, this divide in the Chalice, this divide between the people and the Prime Minister. It should just be the people. It's not appropriate for a Prime Minister to be living on a sacred site and taking out half of the sacred site. And at the minute they just don't know that, or presumably don't know that. So if this video is shared around and people get to know that, there's a chance of something truly beneficial happening. And just in the talking of this, something beneficial is happening, and that people view this, come here and walk the areas that are walkable, but view the whole site is truly beneficial. So something is happening beneficial anyway, and I will continue to work with this site. But if enough people share this and enough people get to know about it, and the powers that be get to know about it, then maybe there's a chance of something really wonderful happening here. So if you've enjoyed this, please share this video, and also go on and do the meditation, the guided meditation, and also, you know, if you wish, learn holographic breathing. There's lots on my website to learn, but the guided meditation that goes with this is wonderful, and holographic breathing is wonderful. And that guided meditation does work much more potently with holographic breathing. Okay, thank you for listening. Go well and be well.